So in the aftermath of November 5th, I know it's been a couple of weeks since that tumultuous day in which so many liberals began crying that they almost flooded the world again. But see, the thing is, now that the election is over and we enter into 2025, it is very clear that the media landscape, the political landscape, is shifting. Gone are the 8 years of the influence of the 2016 election cycle, which clearly there was cancel culture, the vote blue, no matter whose sphere, a lot of these quote unquote activist groups that were very influential amongst the liberal, corporate, neoliberal media space. But see, the thing is now with Trump winning, a lot of those institutions and media outlets are broke, defunct, gone forever, or still holding on by their fingertips or maybe fingernails. How does that sound? And the thing is, one person in particular who I find fascinating now is a perfect case study is none other than a host of TYT, Cenk Uygur, because, remember, even though he might want to deny or dodge and weave and bounce around, he was a contributing factor, maybe not the tip of the spear, but was one of the many contributors to the Trump derangement syndrome nightmare that this country's been dealing with. There are many others who perhaps it could be argued played a far larger and greater role, but as everything has a beginning, middle, and end, the fear and the Trump derangement syndrome, well, it won't be disappearing, but it is reaching its near end, and those who have once made it their banner, their signal to rally to, are now singing a different tune. So I want to pull up this video here of Cenk on Breaking Points with Crystal Ball. She is the partner and wife to dime store Eminem, Kyle Kalinske. There you go. So let's go ahead and bring this up here because I find it interesting how the tone, the mood is shifting, and it's a bunch of BS and lies. Got to survive in the media escape somehow, don't you?
Yeah.
So the mainstream media guys are the worst liars in the world. They lie way worse than even right-wing media.
I don't know about
that. Okay, we can have that discussion. I think you cannot find two bigger liars in America than Joe Scarborough and Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, there are plenty of liars. They're all in the corporate media sphere. I mean, Cenk, I'm not going to call you a liar, no. But you were that person constantly fanning the flames of Trump's a dictator, Trump's a tyrant, or the walls are closing in. Tick, 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 tick. And of course, I mean, you were part of that. I'm not going to say you were the end all be all lead front runner, but you were part of that.
I mean,
okay.
But I hear you, but I also have been kind of blackpilled on a lot of independent media because that tenant media situation where, Tim Pool and whoever else were taking random sketchy money to put out whatever propaganda they were told to put out. I just, I don't see what has grown up on the right in the independent media space as actually being better than the mainstream press.
I totally disagree with you.
Now, what's interesting about that 43-second video soundbite is that, Crystal Ball did bring up Tim Pool. Tim Pool actually recently had Cenk Uygur on his show. Oh, yes, because Cenk is going to explain Trump derangement syndrome to all of us. That's right. So in case you don't know about Trump derangement syndrome, Cenk is going to explain it to you perfectly. But Kevin Hoffman says, have you heard of Rachel Maddow? Oh, Rachel Maddow. Let's see about Rachel Maddow. What can be said about everybody who's involved with BSD&C? Take it away, Prophet Cat Williams.
All lies will be exposed.
Absolutely indeed. And this right here, look, somewhere out there, I swear I could hear in the ether Jimmy Dore laughing at this guy. Somewhere out there, I could hear Jimmy right now laughing. Hell, I could probably hear the guys who do dissonance. Everyone at INN, even RBN too. Everybody laughing because now, sit back, everybody. Trump derangement syndrome explained by Cenk Uygur. Even though not once ever did ever TYT, quote unquote, ever bring up the fear of Trump or Russiagate or people being Russian stooges or somehow helping out the Republicans. Never forget what Cenk and Anna, their infamous video segment on one Julian Assange. Never forget that.
So Trump, when he does things and they take it out of context, I hate it. And I think that's Trump derangement syndrome. So
But hold on, folks. Because maybe I'm getting senile. Maybe I'm getting foolish. Maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe my brain isn't as sharp as it once was. So I beg you, my audience, correct me if I'm wrong. But don't you remember maybe when TYT was also taking things out of context and promoting Trump derangement syndrome or talking about Russiagate? Do you guys remember that? Or am I wrong? Type 1 for Kit, you're wrong. How dare you? You're just jelly. Type 2, no, dude, I remember it. Don't worry. You're not going crazy. You're not going crazy yet. You haven't crossed that Rubicon, but I remember. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. Take it away again, Cenk.
things and they take it out of context, I hate it. And I think that's Trump derangement syndrome. So, for example, he said bloodbath when he was talking about the auto industry. We come on the Young Turks and we go, he did not say it in a physical way. He did not say it in a violent way. He said it in regards to the car industry. No question about it.
Yeah.
Everyone else goes, nah, you calling for blood in the streets and blah, blah, blah. That's Trump derangement syndrome.
I agree.
Right? He goes to McDonald's and he does that photo op. I think it's a great photo op, right? So look, I'll bust him on, hey, he doesn't actually support higher minimum wage. You know, he supports the National Restaurant Association, yada, yada. I'll give you the substance of it. But as a photo op, it's a good photo op. And they look at him, they're like, he looked ridiculous. And I'm like, all right, you can do that, but I don't think he looked ridiculous. I mean, the height of Trump derangement syndrome is when he got shot at, right? And then number one, we got Blue Anon that comes out and goes, no, he didn't really get shot at. It's all a conspiracy.
He had a
right?
razor in his hand or something.
Yeah. So, and then, and number two is, no, he wasn't heroic. Guys, he got shot at. He comes up and he goes, does this, and he goes, fight, fight, fight. If that's not courage, I don't know what courage is, right? So,
Cenk of 2016 or 2020 would say something completely different, but okay. Hey, listen, what happened to Donald Trump in Pennsylvania that first time? I can't believe I'm actually saying it. The first time it happened, it was rather a shocking event, and it is rather unfortunate too that during that same event, a firefighter did lose their life protecting his family, which is horrific. But the fact that this would happen to a sitting president. But even then, folks, Cenk was still tooting the horn of the Democrats. I mean, this guy had the audacity to run in a Democratic primary, of all things. You think he learned his first 2 times?
I mean, the height of Trump derangement syndrome is when he got shot at, right? And then number one, we got Blue Anon that comes out and goes, no, he didn't really get shot at. It's all a conspiracy.
He had a
right?
razor in his hand or something.
Yeah. So, and then, and number two is, no, he wasn't heroic. Guys, he got shot at. He comes up and he goes, does this, and he goes, fight, fight, fight. If that's not courage, I don't know what courage is, right? So I called him courageous for that. And I called him courageous for that at a moment where I desperately wanted him to lose the election. Okay. But we're honest. So we don't have Trump derangement syndrome. What we have is honest disagreements about Trump.
Oh my goodness. Listen. I'm not gonna I'm always hesitant of telling anyone what to do, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy Dore has like a file of all these incidents when Cenk was having meltdowns about Trump, calling him a fascist. I think we all remember this. Honest disagreements. I mean, one of the things that made me stop watching TYT back in the day was that loser Donald segment. I mean, I just got tired of it all the time. Like, you're telling me stuff that I don't want to know, that's not important, and didn't really matter, nor did it impact the 2016 election. And then after all these 4 years, all it was Trump. And I understand we're going to be talking about Trump and the president and his presidency because, yes, he is the sitting president. But my goodness, if you're going to have honest discussions about it, don't focus on Russiagate. And it's Mueller time. Remember that segment? Constantly promoting that ridiculous idea of Russiagate and the amount of time, hours, energy wasted. Which eventually, of course, let's be clear about what Russiagate led into so much derangement. Led into the idea for calling for further censorship by our politicians on all social media platforms. I mean, that was what happened. It's what happened. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. I just like how he's evolved and adapted.
But I would argue that's, and now I'll trigger a lot of people. I would argue that a lot of the right wing has Trump derangement syndrome in reverse. Like they'll see something that he does that makes no sense, that is not a conservative position, that is not a right wing position, that is not a populist position, and they'll go, "If Trump did it, I love it."
Bro,
I'll endorse that
remember
too, yeah.
Kafifi?
Yeah, it's Kofefi. Kofefi. No, it's Kofifi. It was Kofefi. Kofefi. There you go. And F.A. I know what movie you're referencing to. Boondock Saints. There you go. Cenk has finally come to the realization that Trump was never the existential threat we were all being told he was. No, he's just part of the machine. He's part of the big club. The big, fancy club in which the establishment like to play their games, and all of us are always screwed up the wazoo. But hold on. We're going to also talk about populism and what it means. Folks, to be a populist. Try not to vomit in your brain.
So now you want to get into random things and pretend you just say, "Oh, I murdered all these Palestinians, but it's okay because I'm beloved Israel." It's not okay. You did murder them. I hate it. I hate all the wars Israel starts. I hate that they make us pay for all their
IDF
wars.
is the most moral army trying their best to protect every civilian.
Most moral army.
Yes. Populism and moral army. Hang on. I'm glad that this discourse is happening, but we're witnessing somebody change your tune and hoping that the internet has a short memory. The internet never forgets, folks. It never does.
No, it is with it is Hamas's interest to have as many civilians.
Nonsense.
Cenk, please don't talk over me. I let you finish your point. It's within Hamas's interest to have as many civilians killed, so they could. So
they made us kill them.
Cenk,
they made us.
So they could.
Poor Israelis didn't want to kill them. But we had to slaughter all of them.
And Cenk, it's for impressionable Westerners like you and Western liberals and communists to get misled about this.
Communists? What does that have to do with it?
Far leftists and communists support the Palestinian cause.
Hamas is right wing.
I know in the West, you're saying communists don't support Hamas.
Western
communists is not relevant
Western
at all. Are
communists-
you
Western
insane?
Western
Are you
Hamas.
socialists and
insane? You
communists.
think this is about communism and capitalism?
I've been
This is about
covering
Israel
Cenk,
grabbing more
respectively,
land.
Cenk,
Attack,
I've
kill.
covered
America
a
pay
lot
for
of
it.
these
America pay
processes,
for it.
right.
All
These
right,
are all
guys,
socialists and communists.
So Israel is a terrorist state. It's a rogue state, and I'm sick of my taxpayer dollars going to murder Palestinians because Netanyahu wants to do it. He's a goddamn terrorist.
He just
I got no
wants to
interest.
murder Palestinians. There's no stipulating factors. Netanyahu is crazy and just want to kill as many
He's
civilians
a
as he can.
vicious terrorist.
And that's why he's only killed 40,
Okay,
allegedly
all right.
40,000.
Only killed 44,000?
Most of whom
How many
are
Palestinians
Hamas
do you
members.
want to murder,
Most of-
brother?
most of-
All right, guys.
How many Palestinian children do you want to
All right.
murder?
Okay.
15,000 dead kids. Imagine 15,000
They're not
dead kids.
50,000 dead kids. They're not
Okay, I
50,000.
get it.
guys,
Everyone
Nobody
is
is
wrong.
claiming 50,000
Everyone
dead
is
kids.
wrong except the
Guys.
beloved Israelis.
Cenk.
Everyone is lying.
You guys don't even agree on the
Guys, everyone chill. I know. It was rather funny, but no, hold on. It gets better. I promise you. Don't worry, folks. I got more interesting little tidbits of information because here Cenk has his epiphany too with Tim Pool, which I am curious now overall what's going to be happening this next year in regards to how the Trump presidency is going to be covered by the once great vote blue no matter who industrial complex.
Gee, like if you want to talk about liars, the Pod Save America guys, I think that they probably got deluded in their own minds into thinking, oh, Joe Biden's 34 or 44, I can't tell, right? Okay, but Jen O'Malley Dillon knows exactly how senile Joe Biden was.
Mhm.
She had conversation after conversation. Everyone on that campaign
So did
knew
Kamala
that
Harris.
he has massive mental decline. Massive.
Yeah.
Oh, my uncle was eaten by cannibals. Oh, why, hello there, Bob. There's no Bob. He's shaking hands with an invisible guy.
They called that debunked when he was shaking hands with an invisible
Everything's
guy.
always debunked, right?
Right.
I mean, he was out there talking to
Now, because we sat through this, and I understand many of you are saying, Kit, why are we watching this? Why are we watching this? Bear with me. It's because, folks, I understand right now that there's a current wave that's really excited about, Trump and his new cabinet. I understand that right now that seems to be the forefront on a lot of major, larger social media platforms. But the key thing is don't fall into the phony trap. I mean, I, for one, will be observing this with much curiosity. I am ever hopeful that this administration can make our lives better. I mean, ideally, that's what I'm hoping for, but hope in one hand, crap in the other, and see which one fills up faster. No, the thing is, we have to be critical of everything. We have to call out people in their hypocrisy. And in this media landscape, especially for those that have millions upon millions of followers on social media, it is very clear that in order to survive, you must adapt with the times. If you fail to adapt, then your grave will be dug alongside outlets like BuzzFeed, Vice, Vox, and so many others that have fallen into extinction. But don't fall for this anti-establishment stick that you're seeing people who are part of the establishment saying that they are going to be anti-establishment. I mean, actions speak louder than words. Deeds, not statement. Actions, not words. Come on. You have to do things. And I'm not expecting a Trump administration to be benevolent and stop Israel from the ongoing crisis in Gaza or further de-escalation. I mean, at this point, Biden has made it almost near impossible for peace in the Middle East. I mean, maybe there is hope to end the ridiculous war in Ukraine, but the war machine goes on. Nothing will fundamentally change because it's one big club and none of us are in it. And we have to tell everybody who's part of this political spectrum, voters in particular, if you're on the right, if you're on the left, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, Green, Libertarian, Independent, no matter what generation you're part of or who you worship or the color of your skin, you can't fall for the same trap. We have to start building movements and organizations not connected to DC. And that buildup leads to this video here. Don't buy the phony establishment stick. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. It seems easy to fall for, but we each of us have to be critical thinkers in our own way.
Don't buy into phony anti-establishment shtick. I saw a rant from Mehdi Hassan the other day complaining that the way Elon Musk constantly says the media are corrupt and dishonest has a massive effect not just on trust and polarization in society, but on election outcomes and political messaging. Hassan said that Musk, Trump, and their ilk have cynically created an impenetrable bubble around their followers, primed them against a reality-based universe, and preemptively undermined any negative stories about themselves. Hassan is of course correct that the people who listen to Trump and Musk have largely been herded into fact-resistant echo chambers of cult-like loyalty. But it's worth pointing out that Musk's claims about the media are absolutely correct as well. The media are corrupt and untrustworthy, and do indeed promote lies and propaganda all the time. Just because Elon Musk says it doesn't mean it's false. One great challenge of our time is that while it's becoming common knowledge that Western media is propaganda and Western politics is a corrupt sham, fake solutions to these problems are being marketed to the mainstream by the same powers responsible for them.
I want to pause here. Yeah, the same powers that be always change. I mean, there's always been a shift. I mean, never forget, folks, that, the Democrats and the Republicans would shift in their views and allegiances and what states they had control and power over. We've seen this before so many times. We've seen people change their outfits and change their words. It's either you're consistent or you're not. And yes, people can change their minds. Of course, everybody grows up. Everybody changes. Hell, I've changed my mind about a few things too. But when it comes down to covering politics and observing things or witnessing how Russiagate led to Trump derangement syndrome, I want to give a shout out to one of my subscribers out here, Eric Hoos, who tipped $5. Thank you so much. Russia propagandized the electorate, priming us for CIA instigated Russia proxy war. Cenk is an unserious clown. And, when that war in Ukraine started off, I know Cenk seemed to be cheerleading a little bit for, pushing back against Russia. I mean, as far as I'm concerned here, I was against the war particularly because I don't want to see anybody on either side die. Plus, knowing the fact that the U.S. was giving weapons to Ukraine. And since then, they've gotten billions upon billions of dollars and even getting some of their billions of dollars of debt forgiven by Biden. It's quite clear. Either you're against the wars or you're for them. It's either you're against wars. If you're going to be consistent, then be consistent about it. I for one, I'm just going to speak for myself here. I'm pretty sure majority of you in my audience agree. None of you want to wake up one morning, go outside and, oh, hey, there's a missile landing. Kaboom! Mushroom cloud. Oh, my goodness. Wall of flame. Up. vaporized. I'm pretty sure none of you want to wake up one day and deal with that. Unfortunately, we're still all going to work, but hey, it is what it is. But this fake populism, this fake anti-establishment ride that's being set up by the same establishment is a way for people to fall asleep so that wars can still go on, or proxy wars can still go on, so that politicians can still do their insider trading, and that voices can be silenced and suppressed. The machine goes on, but now they're trying to tell you, don't worry, we're going to change things. It's either you do it or you don't. And it's important to question everything.
Donald Trump himself will tell you that the media are lying and the political establishment is run by swamp monsters, and then say that the solution is to support Republicans and trust right-wing media. Elon Musk will go on Joe Rogan and say the same thing. In 2028, AOC will probably run for president, campaigning on the Democratic Party version of the same faux populist message, just as Bernie Sanders did. This dynamic poses a major obstacle for those who yearn for real revolutionary change. It's becoming increasingly necessary to not just stand against the status quo, but against the fraudulent political factions which pretend to oppose it. It's no longer enough to reject establishment politics and media. We also need to reject the fake anti-establishment politics and media which seek to herd a discontented populace away from meaningful revolutionary movements. There are probably people listening to this right now who've fallen into this very trap, who started listening to my stuff because they see me opposing wars and criticizing the media, and assume I support all the same things they support, even as they throw their support behind a fraudulent political movement that is ultimately designed to keep the wars going and make the mass media propaganda more effective.
That's the name of the game. That's how the system works. That's how the game works. That's the main design of it. And of course, there are many actors and actresses who partake, who contribute to the long-standing hypocrisy of how the establishment constantly dictates points of views. Yes, we are witnessing institutions going broke. We're witnessing a mass decline of viewership at CNN and MSNBC. But see, those outlets were promoting Trump derangement syndrome, just like Cenk was, just like Sammy Boy Cedar was, just like everybody else that was trying to say, hey, if we don't support the Democrats or candidate X or candidate Y or candidate Z, oh, that makes you a secret fascist. 8 years. 8 years of that madness. 8 years of cancel culture. 8 years of Trump derangement syndrome. 8 years of Russiagate. 8 years of the vote blue no matter who sphere singing and jumping up and down of their supposed victory. And now that things have drastically shifted, they have to adapt. They have to evolve. And those that have been calling it out from the very beginning are still censored and suppressed. I mean, we hear at Hard Lens Media and a lot of our other colleagues in independent media are censored. Many of you get unsubscribed, or if you want to write a comment, you can't write a comment. Some of you aren't being notified when you see your favorite content creators who cover this kind of stuff. But yet, those that have been playing the game get favored. That's how the club works. That's how the system works. So when you see somebody saying, oh, let me explain Trump derangement syndrome when they've been promoting it, just remember, they're changing their outfit. But secretly, it's just a way so they can still be relevant. That's how it works. And I do hope, that people have their sense of smell. Because otherwise, we're going to go through the same rodeo again, and nothing will change.
Calling every foe synthetic leftist and progressive lover. Summoning the simps of all the squad adjacent opportunist two-faced cop suckers. Rampaging every Democratic yes man, in possession of a smoother brain than those who hide behind Biden's stutter. Welcome to the super edgy independent news you can trust when we say we don't sell our standards out like all the others. Trust us when we tell you that we're looking out for working class America, holding all the powerful accountable. Trust us when we tell you that a host of vital truths are being covered, when honestly the truth is being smothered by a couple disingenuous hacks sent to act in bad faith by Big Brother, who start smearing every journalist who bears the credibility they covet from their gilded fucking neoliberal centerpiece. Air out all their jealousy and spite like it might yield them some validity, or paint a coat of pity over all of their acidity. But they've been busy cozied up to every war pig living between here and the infinity. Albright, Biden, Obama, God, that's gotta take the fucking trophy for unholiest of trinities. So I hope you didn't come to witness anything resembling integrity. That's been long abandoned. Now we see integrity as often as Atlantis. Now they only toe the line and read what they've been handed. Safe to say if Cenk sunk any lower, he'd be deeper than the Marianas. TYT will tell you how opinions aren't the facts unless they're Cenk Serranas. Since they chose to make a living out of licking boots and shilling, you can bet they make a killing. TYT is proud to say they traded all their spines away to empty out the till and tell themselves it's decent work and it's an honest tilling. Well, me, I see they found a way to rape the willing. Me, I read between the lines, and in the script I see the signs that those who fund their message down to every filthy dime would gladly bleed a human sea if it prevents a drop of oil spilling. And yet somehow they portray themselves the heart of the progressive movement. The loudest voices calling for some unity with those who built careers around destroying unions. Which might be true, since unity is something truly useless and symbolic, like a stale communion. Tasteless as the times they tried to fight back smiles smearing Julian. And I hope Cenk and Anna listen up and listen well. You will never be a fraction of the journalist Assange has been, even from his cell. All the filth you spread around, you spread it on yourself. That's my time. Fuck you twice. See you both in hell.